This is me. This is my beloved wife, Sylvia. This is Sylvia's idea of sailing. This is my dream of sailing and my hope of circumnavigating the globe as a retirement project in 2029. This is Sylvia's reaction to that idea. I am on a 6-year quest to convince Sylvia that a circumnavigation is a wonderful adventure, but the clock is ticking, so join me as I search for the perfect yacht that Sylvia will love, and get all your ladies to subscribe and cheer Sylvia on in the comments. Welcome back to Naval Gazing at Camp David. This week we're going from one extreme to the other and heading down to the Australian home of this week's future yacht, the amazing Cure 55. Today, we will 1. Review its specifications, pricing, and layout against 3 similar new vessels. 2. Do a full tour asking what would Sylvia say. 3. Naval gaze at an innovation or technology that just might make life aboard a little easier. 4. Have a look at the used market for 3 to 5-year-old comparables. And 5. Give it a Dave score and compare the results with all our previously reviewed yachts. As always, all this fun will be sandwiched between a pairing of wine and a work of art from the same region as the guest yacht, in an effort to capture the culture and people who give birth to these wonderful vessels. Waves, wine, art, and ideas. What a civilized way to spend 30 minutes, so let's get going. From high above Vancouver, we head east across North America and the Atlantic, all the way up to the shores of the Baltic and the yards of Sunreef Yachts, home of last week's extreme in luxury and weight, the Sunreef 60. From here, we fly southeast all the way around the globe to the eastern shores of Australia and the yards of Cure Marine, home of this week's future yacht, the spectacular Cure 55. Finally, we hop southwest to the Barossa Valley and this week's wine of the region, Tobruk Woodcutters 2021 Shiraz. There's a European sense of tradition here that means vines planted in the 1840s, many of them Rhone varieties such as Shiraz, Grenache, and Mourvedre still thrive and bear fruit of unique concentration and flavor. Tobruk pays tribute to these vineyards with minimal intervention, creating wines of richness, structure, and length that age gracefully. The multi-generational growers whose descendants arrived here nearly 2 centuries ago are the backbone of Tobruk's winemaking aspirations. Without their knowledge of the seasons and the soil, they would not have such a precious resource of fruit to work with. Tobruk has also been fortunate to have the opportunity to invest in the protection of some of the Barossa's most precious vineyards after accepting fruit from them over many years. The historic hillside vineyard at Lyndoch, the Laird Vineyard in the sub-region, Amaranga, and the Greenock Keller Vineyard, owned by the Schultz family, are all now under the custodianship of Tobruk. In 2008, this long-term commitment to the Barossa was cemented when they completed their winery and bottling line, enabling them to achieve maximum quality control through 100% estate vinification, maturation, and packaging. Their latest development was the 2017 expansion of their original Settlers College cellar door to become an international guest center, where they are proud to welcome many friends and collectors from the US, Asia, Europe, and Australia. 96 points, James Suckling. Lovely, ripened blackberries and raspberries. Al dente, full-bodied yet so refined and focused with crisp acidity and ultra-fine creamy tannins. Succulent and crunchy, but focused and structured. Bright and purposeful. Drink after 2024, but already hard to hold back. Oh, that really is good. You're going to enjoy that. Let's go have a look at that boat. Cheers. Having our first look at this amazing vessel, she is handsome. Beautiful reverse bows, just slightly with a nice curve to them, a fabulous profile, very sleek, nothing garish, nothing unexpected, just very smooth. No raised helm or bulkhead mounted helm to break the line. Everything very similar in the helm station to the HH-52, but actually executed even a little bit better. Fabulous glass solar panels up to 3,800 watts. Actually, that's standard now, with 28 kilowatt hours of battery bank. And a full front cockpit that actually has areas for your feet there. It really looks nice. And a very generous aft cockpit. I mean, this is an absolutely gorgeous boat that screams, I can really, really, really go fast if you run me hard. Given the technical and international nature of our audience, it only seems right that the sponsor of this week's video is Redux Engineering. Are you a manufacturer in North America, Western Europe, or Australia and New Zealand with an annual per SKU purchase of $500,000 or more on parts, subcomponents, or products that you currently manufacture internally or source locally? Discover how Redux can save 20 to 50% on these items by accessing low-cost, high-quality offshore manufacturing with no upfront costs or complexity. There are more than 1.4 billion people in China, 100 million in Vietnam, 400 million in Mexico, and 300 million in Eastern Europe. With potential language barriers, time zone differences, and limited resources, how can small to medium-sized businesses safely and efficiently gain the proven benefits of low-cost offshore manufacturing? Let Redux do it for you. Redux Engineering is a group of professionals with over 80 years of combined experience in supply chain optimization. The team includes registered professional engineers, Six Sigma ASQ certified supply development engineers, and in-country sourcing specialists in low-cost manufacturing countries like China, Vietnam, Mexico, and Eastern Europe. Together, they provide an end-to-end outsourcing solution for companies with domestically sourced parts and an annual purchase of $500,000 or more per part. Redux Engineering services include offshore supplier development, qualification and selection, sourcing, high-quality products, production part approval process, order and delivery management, significant cost savings, supply chain reliability enhancement, and on-time delivery assurance. They are only rewarded with a portion of the actual measurable savings that the client enjoys. They only win when you win. Having a look at our new comparables this week, we're looking at the Outremer 55, the Windalow 54, the Kinetic 54, and the Cure 55. All of them absolutely beautiful vessels from the outside. The Cure, I would say, has the most attractive profile of the group, and certainly that dramatic sail plan promises some pretty substantial speeds and sailing performance as we get into the numbers. Hopping onto the rooftop, you can see that none of them have anything going on up here because these are all highly purposeful vessels. The Kinetic 54, however, does have a full forward cockpit, a relaxation cockpit, not a working cockpit. The Cure 55 does have a faux cockpit up there, which is very nice with factory-made cushions and areas to literally sit and drop your feet into the footwells there. And that creates a really nice environment, although they don't have the interior access to that from the saloon. The Windalow 54, of course, does have access from the saloon, i.e. the forward cockpit, up onto the foredeck so that you can get through there. And of course, the Outremer 55, very, very purposeful. There's no full front cockpit or access or anything like that. However, I believe there are now some lovely factory cushions that can nestle in there for you. As we look at the aft cockpits here, all of them are substantial except for the Windalow 54, of course, which absorbs the aft cockpit into the saloon itself and offers that large garage door or a huge sliding door in the aft now. And then they have that unique drop-down transom. Everybody else is very standard. You can see the side decks on all of these are quite ample. There's no worry about running forward there. Heading into the saloon themselves, you can see the space that's available here. Certainly the Kinetic 54 has a lot of space there, the way they've laid this out, and they have an incredible level of headroom. In the opinion of some builders, an absurd level of headroom in the Kinetic 54, but a beautifully laid out saloon area. The Cure 55, again, very nice saloon. They don't have the two seating areas that the Kinetic definitely has, although they have a very ample settee eating area on the port side there, as you can see. A gorgeous U-shaped galley for maximum stability, and a massive forward-facing nav desk there on the forward starboard. To me, it looks like they could easily slide in a forward access door onto the foredeck there without harming anybody's feelings, but I'll leave that to the designers there. The cockpit, the aft cockpit, absolutely gorgeous. Massive area. They've got movable stools there on the portside settee that can move around and create massive day beds or footstools or whatever you wish. In a wonderful aft deck, large, ample sugar scoops for easy on and off boarding. The Kinetic 54, again, a lovely aft cockpit, lots of room there, not quite as spacious as the 55, Cure 55, but then again, you're gaining something in the saloon, and of course you have that lovely forward cockpit on the Kinetic. The Windaloo 54, an ample saloon. I still haven't quite wrapped my head around the Windaloo 54 saloon. The seating looks very vertical. They are getting much nicer with their finishes, much nicer with their soft goods. You really have to wrap your head around this. Having said that, when you do stand in that forward cockpit, the sense of control and visibility is nothing short of extraordinary, completely unexpected. And of course, your access onto the foredeck is fabulous. They have a very modest aft deck, which turns into much better than modest once the dinghy drops down and that aft wall where the dinghy davits are on drops and makes a floor extension there. The Outremer 55, classic, beautiful, wonderful. I love the Outremer 55. I love what Outremer does. They do a very fabulous Euro modern interior, probably the best in the business as far as their finishes go and their lines and their style and their design. It just creates such an elegant finished product. And their aft cockpit is nothing short of gorgeous. They have the twin aft helms that you are actually raised, and then of course they have the Versa helm that comes down so you can be fully enclosed. And then heading into the saloon, quite a nice saloon. I mean, I was stunned when I got on board the Outremer 55 the first time at how big it felt. The pictures, the videos simply don't do it justice. It's beautifully done. Now, zipping back over to the Cure 55, we're going to see this later, but their helm position is nothing but stunning. I think if I was to say perfect, this would be the perfect one. They've taken, they have a very similar helm scenario to the HH52-44, except you will see in their line handling and the way they've positioned their winches, they've taken it to the next level of clean and professional and beautifully done. Hopping down into the accommodations now, starting with the Outremer 55, very much standard butt scoot beds in the aft, full owner's hull on the starboard. And of course, you have on the port side, you can have two cabins or aft VIP and forward MySpace room that you can do all sorts of nifty things with. Windaloo 54, the port side master hull. Very interesting with an athwartship bed that I won't say it's 3-side access, but it's 2.5. And very nicely done, gorgeous wraparound windows, lots of space. Again, their finishes are a little too angular for me, a little too modern, it's hard to describe. It's a matter of taste, but beautifully executed. And then, of course, on your starboard side, you have the both fore and aft cabins with a much smaller aft VIP suite that is definitely a thwartship, but one side access. Kinetic 54, taking a page out of the Balance Handbook there with the port side owner's hull and a forward, beautiful three-side access thwartship berth. Massive owner's bathroom in the forepeak there. And then aft, you have a convertible office / guest room. A very unique scenario and very, very customizable. And then, of course, on the starboard side, you have a typical scenario with, again, another lovely VIP three-side thwartship access berth in the forepeak, and then aft you have a butt scoot. It has pseudo access, similar to the sort of the leopard cut the corners and slide in scenario in the aft VIP cabin there. Cure 55. There's again huge aft owner's bed in the berth in the starboard owner's hull, but it is pure butt scoot, very much like the Outremer approach to an owner's hull. Not my favorite, and I think, again, they have the space to do better, as Kinetic did, as Balance does. I'm not sure why manufacturers who are starting tabula rasa with a bare slate don't figure out that all of us, at least all our wives, want a three-axis walk-around berth. And it makes it easier to live with, easier to make, easier to keep, easier to get in and out of without disturbing your partner. It's doable. Why don't you just do it? I don't get it. But what they've done is lovely. I mean, you'll see it from the renders. It's very nicely done. Up and over to the port side, we have a butt scoot bed VIP. And then up forward, you have an athwartship, but it's a butt scoot athwartship, if you can imagine. So I can't imagine, like it's the worst of all worlds. You've got an athwartship, and you're squeezed in. You've only got access from the foot. I sound like I'm being harsh, but I just don't get why, when you've got designs existing like the Kinetic or the Balance that prove you can have a decent walk around, or even Windaloo's unique approach, that we have 3 full butt scoot beds in a 55-foot cat. But there you have it. Hopping into the numbers here, heading across the top line, you've got the Outremer at 1.8 million euro, the Windaloo at 1.359 or 1.4 million euro, the Kinetic at 1.156888, and the Cure at 1.827, just a hair above the Outremer. So it's the Windaloo out in front. Now, I have some questions around here because the Cure strikes me that there's not a massive uptick on their options list, as there is with the French brands, generally speaking. Things like they now offer 3.8 kilowatt hours of solar standard. They offer, I think it's 28 kilowatt hours, 23 kilowatt hours of lithium standard. So, I have applied the 50% addition to the Cure as with the others, but if I was a betting man and priced this out, I'm going to guess your Cure is going to be a little sweeter on the bottom line than the others. So right now we show it's the Outremer and Cure about tied in the middle at around 2.9, 2.9 and a half. You got the Kinetic at the very top end at 3.5, and then you have the Windaloo at a relatively modest 2.3 million. But, not a lot to choose between Outremer, Windaloo, and Cure. A couple of $100,000. What's that between friends? And again, that may be modified once you price out a Cure completely. Looking into length overall, it is the Cure at 58.53, followed by the Outremer at 54.9, then the Kinetic at 54.2, and the Windaloo at 53.3. Not a lot to choose between them. The beam, as we head across here, it is the Cure again at 28.51, followed by the Kinetic at 27.7, the Outremer at 27.2, and the Windaloo at 26.2. So you got a lot of play space on the deck of a Cure. The draft here, as we head across, your lowest possible draft is the Windaloo, boards up at 1.05 meters or 3.4 feet. The next one is the Outremer at 1.2 meters or 4.4 feet. Then it's the Cure at 1.3 meters or I think it's 4.26 feet, and then finally the Kinetic at 1.4 meters or 4.5 feet. Bridge deck's clearance, I could only find it for the Kinetic and the Cure, and both of them very similar, although the Cure a very handsome 1.01 meters or 3.3 feet, and the Kinetic sitting at 3.1 feet. Looking down at the light ship displacement, well, now this is where things get weird real fast. So you got the Windaloo at 12.8 tons, 25,600 pounds. Then you've got the Outremer at just a ton heavier at 13.9 tons or 30,644. Then you have the Kinetic, which is a surprise given its pure carbon structure, at 16.250 ton or 38,830 feet. So our lowest so far is the Windaloo at 12.8 ton or 25,600 pounds. Well, hold on to your hats. The Cure is sitting at a staggeringly low 9.5 ton for a 55-foot vessel, or 20,044 pounds. And you will see that does translate into some significant performance numbers. Payload capacity, I found it for most of them here. The highest is the Kinetic at 4,650 kilograms, followed very closely by the Outremer at 4,600 kilograms. The Cure is a respectable 3,500 kilograms, giving its overall weight and the impact that payload could have on performance. Upwind sail area. Looking across here, you've got the Kinetic at a mighty 200 square meters, followed by the Outremer at 172 square meters, followed by the Cure at 164 and the Windaloo at 143. As we head down into the engines, the Outremer and Cure about 60 horsepower, twin 60s. Then you've got the Kinetic at twin 80s, and of course the Windaloo at twin 20 kilowatt electric, which is pretty light for a boat that size, but there you have it. Fuel tanks and water tanks. It's the Kinetic at 1,000 each, taking the lead, followed very closely by the Cure at 800 each. This is definitely a machine built to travel long distances. Blackwater capacity, found it for the Kinetic and the Cure. A Kinetic is 500 liters and the Cure is 100 liters. And then total fridge capacity, total freezer capacity, bless Cure's heart. They've got theirs listed here, and it's 190 liters of fridge and 90 liters of freezer. Although, bear in mind, the Cure Kinetic, Cure and Kinetic, definitely highly, highly customizable vessels. Windaloo, Outremer, obviously Outremer is a production boat. You're not going to get a lot of customization there. Windaloo, being new in the game, they're a little more flexible, but tightening up as they build momentum in the market. Okay, hopping into the more technical details here. Looking at the construction of these vessels, I mean, these are all beautifully built vessels. There's, you're not going to find a bad hull among these. But if you're looking at technically the best hulls, My bet by a hair is going to be the Cure 55. The vacuum infused epoxy, full carbon, and foam core. You'll note it's exactly the same construction as the Kinetic 54. Yes. However, Cure is a member of a long-standing group of companies that have a high specialization in diverse manufacturing environments, from RVs to aircraft. And you can see that in the language of their videos, in the way their founder, Dave, presents the company. There is a level of expertise and manufacturability engineering that goes into a Cure that really none of the others would have, because the others are purely boat-building enterprises. In the case of Kinetic, a relatively small boutique one. Outremer, certainly with their decades and decades of experience and their, 4, 5, 6 brands they currently have, would have something similar in that technology area, but not as diverse, and they don't talk in the same terms that Cure talks. Cure talks like a professional global manufacturer in the way they discuss how their equipment is built. And you can see it in the technologies that they're using in their factories and the access and experience they have from, again, all of those diverse high-performance environments like RVs and aircraft and different things of that nature. So if my money was on an absolute winner in the hull category, I'd give it to Cure. It's going to be followed much of the same between the rest. You can say certainly the Outremer materials, it's got a vinyl ester outer skin, polyester inner, and a foam core. I believe it's solid below the waterline. You can argue all day long that it should be pure vinyl ester. And in fact, as Kirk and Kat found out, you can buy a pure vinyl ester Outremer if you want to. But to their point, they don't think you need to. Because vinyl ester is great, and you've got the strength on the outside, the lack of osmosis on the outside where you need it, and then polyester, less cost, but reasonable strength in the inner layers with the foam core and the way they've engineered it. And all you got to do is look at their weight numbers. These guys know how to engineer a hull. So I have a lot of faith in the Outremer. Kinetic, obviously, is strong boutique builder, great materials, and Windaloo playing with the basalt and PET foam and polyester resins. I'm not sure. I probably put Windaloo at the bottom of this pile, but you're talking about a very, very high pile. It's way up there. So even the fourth place here is doing a wonderful job. Looking at the numbers, the performance. Actually, first of all, we'll look at voltages. We're looking at all 24 volt except for the Windaloo at 48. Battery bank size, as I mentioned, the Cure just upped their standard to 28 kilowatt hours. That's 1,167 amp hours. That is a heck of a standard battery bank size. The next one, it would be probably, other than the Windaloo, the Kinetic, or the Outremer at 21 kilowatt hours, but it's gel, so you're not going to get the same performance out of that. Kinetic, I didn't have a number for, probably highly customizable. And of course, Windaloo, they've got a whopping 53.8 kilowatt hours of lithium ion battery bank, and they need it because they're electric driven. The solar panel type on all of these, Outremer has glass on the aft davits, but the rooftop panels will be flexible. Windaloos are all flexible. They don't have an aft glass panel on the davits. Everything's flexible on the cabin top and on the forepeaks. And then Kinetic is flexible, but Cure is all ventilated glass, just like their buddies over in South Africa at Balance. So very high quality, very effective, and you got 3,800 watts of ventilated glass. That's a lot of solar. They've dropped one onto the aft davits, and of course they have those two banks, side banks up the side of each side of the cabin top there. Heading into the actual performance numbers, this is where things get wild. So sail area to displacement, or indicative of power. Who's the winner? Cure, by a screaming, whopping, probably 7 points here. You got 38.3 versus the next closest is Kinetic at 31.6. Then, surprisingly, it's Outremer at 30.2 and Windaloo at 28.3. Looking at displacement to hull length at the waterline, or an indicator of heaviness, lowest number wins, and it is Cure at an amazing 55. The next closest one is Windaloo at 81, a full, 27 points higher. Then Outremer at a highly respectable 82.6, and Kinetic at a surprising 104.5. Now, what will these things do on the water? Well, this is where it gets really, really incredible. Cure is showing KSP numbers of 110% of wind speed. Again, KSP sort of a theoretical performance at 10 knots of wind. And so, it's standardized right across here. That's not to say it will do that, but comparatively across these, you can see a Cure 55 at 110%. So it's a wind speed plus boat. The next closest one is the Outremer, bless their hearts, at 91%, which is a highly respectable number, especially for the comfort available in that vessel. Then you've got Kinetic at 90%. Again, highly comfortable vessel, lots of space inside. That's an incredible number. And Windaloo at a very respectable 88%. Now, just so you're aware of how freaking amazing that 110% is, in order to get close to it, you're going to go to, let's say an ORC 57. That's 112%, only 2% higher. And to get there, you're going to a completely stripped down, absolute, almost pure racing boat. Like, there are no creature comforts on an ORC 57 other than sheer size and rockin' speed. So 112% versus the Cure 55, which is a very comfortable cruising vessel you could take your family on, and you're 2% higher. A gunboat 57, you're looking at 101% versus a Cure 55 at 110%. Now, it gets even weirder than that. Let's go and look at the big boy, the Gunboat 70. You can hit 113% there. And for that 3%, you will pay an incremental $11 million. So to say that Cure has done something pretty spectacular is to make a vast understatement. They are definitely an engineering design-focused company. If what you see here gets you thinking about purchasing a yacht, please mention the channel to the manufacturer or broker. I love hearing from viewers that their dream purchases may have started here, and who knows, the mention might just get me invited on a test sail or two. If you don't have a contact at your target yacht brand, feel free to drop me a line at dave@navalgazing@campdavid.com, and I'd be thrilled to connect you with the right person. Of course, if you're enjoying the content, please take a moment to hit the subscribe button, then share the channel with a couple of friends, and hit the like button. It's free and really helps the channel. You can also join our crew on Patreon, where you can enjoy ad-free viewing as well as downloads of the Excel specification and PowerPoint layout comparisons while helping the channel for a few bucks a month. You can find a link to the Naval Gazing at Camp David Patreon channel in the description below, where you can also click to receive information on some very cool virtual sailing training. Okay, hopping on board, what would Sylvia say? Well, I think Sylvia would like this one, and that's saying something for a boat that will do 110% of wind speed. Look at the size of these lovely aft sugar scoops. Incredibly comfortable, and lots of space, and there is your helm position. Look at the way the line handling happens here. There's no chance that those lines are going to get in your way. They're beautifully managed. As we scan across the cockpit here, you can see the space. You can see those 2 footstools I mentioned there on the port side settee, and then a lovely eating area on the starboard side here. And again, this wonderful looking helm station here, where you can literally run back and forth from helm to helm if you so desire. As you're docking, all your lines are beautifully managed here. Your winches are beautifully managed. You're going to see the clutches in a second here, which are in a pretty spectacular area. But what a beautiful control environment where you can, sit here, and you've got the Versa helm here that slides in to give you full coverage in the vessel when you're in bad weather, and slides out to give you visibility when you want to see those sails and get the wind in your hair. Okay, quick naval gazing here. We're going to talk about the steering system on the QR55, another testament to their engineering-centric design. They use Jefa transmission steering. The transmission steering is based on the same principles as the rack and pinion system. The rotation of the wheel is transferred to a push-pull movement via a gearbox and levers. The difference with the rack and pinion system is that the distance from the wheel to the rudder shaft can be much bigger and the routing more complex. Via torque tubes, universal joints, and bevel gearboxes, the rotating movement is transmitted to the reduction gearbox next to the rudder shaft. The reduction gearbox transfers the rotating movement into a push and pull movement on the tiller lever. As all rotating parts are running in roller bearings and the system can be easily backdriven by the rudder, the result is a steering system which can be far away from the rudder, but with the same precision and feel as a tiller steered boat. The principal advantage of the transmission steering system over cable steering systems is the fact that the rudder torque is reduced by the reduction gearbox with a certain factor between 5 and 23, depending on the chosen gearbox. So all further components are only loaded with a fraction of the real rudder loads. Cable systems transmit the full rudder loadings to the steering shaft, so all the components are loaded to the maximum rudder loads. Another advantage is the proportional reduction of the transmission steering compared to the linear reduction of cable systems. The steering is very direct at midships and more indirect at full rudder. Due to this unique feature, the total number of turns of the wheel on a transmission steering system can be reduced with 30 to 40% compared to a cable system with the same maximum rim loads. Another big advantage of the rotating shaft work of the transmission steering is the easy integration of the autopilot drive unit. It can be integrated in the system on every bevel gearbox or on the reduction gearbox. Here again is evidence of Dave and his crew's focus on engineering and real sales experience and feel. The nature of this kind of a steering system is going to be far more direct, far more accurate, and far more comfortable than any other cable system, and will deliver the same feel as a tiller system, but give you so much more flexibility and comfort. The other aspect that was pointed out in that review was you're probably going to have far less wear on your actual autopilot, as it doesn't have to work as hard to deliver the same result. Okay, back on board. There's the clutch systems that I mentioned to you before. Quite unique, very accessible. And over here, again, looking at your helm position here, it really is that lovely area where you can lean out, you can see right up the side of the boat, you can see clearly through those pure glass windshields. All the windows are glass. When you're out on the Versa helm, out to the starboard as we are here, you can clearly see your sail plan, your telltales, everything you need. And then if it gets ugly, you simply click the button on the foot pedal there and swing your helm station all the way to the port side, and Bob's your uncle. You are out of the weather and steering, looking up and through those lovely pure glass windows. Here we are on the port side forward area, looking around, starboard side forward area, looking around the foredeck here and the trampolines. Beautifully set up, very, very clean. You can also get power furlers on your downwind sails here. They've got all those options for you. What is really spectacular is that this comes standard with North 3DI sails. Again, a testament to their focus on engineering and performance all in one. Beautiful faux front cockpit area there. You can see the footwells in one half and the full layout area on the other half. I think that's a beautiful execution. You got cup holders there. You can't see it. Those forward windows, the inboard forward windows do open up and out. You'll see that in some of the renders. It's hard to quite capture there. I tried to look around here a little closer, but you have to go to another render. And there are those beautiful glass panels all the way back, wonderfully integrated. There's no ugly, lines and stuff all over the place. It's beautifully done, very nice, just like Balance executes theirs very nicely here. Here we are on the port side. Again, taken a letter out of HH's book and put a beautiful, large, custom forward hatch, giving you fantastic access into that four-peak locker area. I still don't understand why on all of these cats there isn't an ML-style option for lightweight, solid handrails all the way down, instead of those ridiculous death lines that they have that only help you do your nice naughty common each form factor as you dive into the water over the top of them. But anyways, that's my cry. Looking around again, you've got those lovely aft windows here. The way they handle opening up the space to the saloon is a little different on Cure. As you'll see, you've got the windows that open up into the cockpit area. And then you've got what looks to be a French door in the aft area here. I couldn't quite wrap my head around it. The renders are a little different one to the other. Here it looks like a single door. In some it looks like a French door. It's not a sliding door. Regardless, works very, very nicely. You've got wonderful indirect lighting, loads of space around here to enjoy yourself. These footstools move about if you want them to, creating either footstools or a lovely massive sunbed there, or a pilot berth, for your husband or wife who's keeping you company while you're on the night shift there. Looking into the saloon here, very handsome. They're using foam core real wood veneers everywhere around. That aft area there, you see the two refrigerators on either side of the aft settee in the cockpit. You can also now get a built-in barbecue back there somewhere. Hull 3 has that all going on. Here is a lovely, their lovely U-shaped galley. One thing I don't get, again, this is tabula rasa drawn from a blank sheet. Why aren't the corners on these galley counters rounded? Honestly, I think every catamaran designer should simply give up on interior design and go talk to ML and have them do your interior design. Nobody does it like ML, creating a luxury and modernity in one. Outremer does a pretty good job, but ML blows them away when it comes to a sense of luxury. Really nice big settee dining area here. And then we're taking a couple of different looks at the various beautiful veneer options that there are here. Really does look good. Here, we've got a very interesting functionality here on this 3D tour, and this was done by my friends over at Catamaran Show, where you can actually click and see the various options as we're doing here. As you go around, there's color options, there's the different technologies that are available to you here. We've got color option on the cockpit sole, and you can see you've got a freshwater or a filtered water tap there. You've got the underbench dishwasher option here. Very, very cool. So again, this vessel will do more than wind speed, but you've got every luxury option known to man, from dishwashers to air conditioners to you've even got, believe it or not, a bow thruster. Bless their hearts, a bow thruster. What is it with the masochistic tendencies among catamaran manufacturers that they have taken so long to integrate bow thrusters? Do you just want to cause divorce or not? So the next step, guys, is to do what our friends over at Halberg Rassi did and just give up and understand that you will be assimilated, and that is go talk to DocMate and offer DocMate tying the whole system together so that I can stand on the side deck and just bring this sideways into the into my berth while my wife is sipping a pina colada on the top. Diesel heaters, you name it, you've got it all here. Very, very nicely done. So, I mean, you can take this vessel basically anywhere you want to go in the world. Absolutely, a gorgeous system. Integrated internal window blinds, and do bear in mind all those windows are real glass. You're not going to have any grazing. It's a beautiful system with huge visibility in and around, so that when you slide your Versahelm in and are driving in and under cover, you're in absolute comfort here. You're not getting beaten around, and your wife isn't getting fearful for you. Okay, we're heading down into the port side cabins right now. Here we are. You can see we headed aft into the aft butt scoot bed on the passenger side. This is the VIP. As you can see, lots of beautiful window, lots of lovely real wood veneers. It is a butt scoot, but you do have a sense of space around it, which is, really nice. Now, here it is looking into it from the door. You can see the aft window is quite small, given the tendency these days to have those massive aft windows above your head. Not sure why, given that you can't see it when you're asleep. But, I mean, they have a lot of light coming in that side window. They got lots of light coming in from that above vent area. We're heading forward in the port side to that forward thwartship. Again, it is a butt scoot. Actually, it's worse than a butt scoot in that you only have access onto 1/3 of the starboard side of the base of this bed, so you are definitely disturbing your partner. But looking forward then, or looking aft again, you can see the amount of space and storage you have, and lots of warm wood veneers. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. They're using a lovely vinyl planking on the floor that looks really, really nice. So we're going to come up out of here, and we're going to head now on over to the owner's hull. There's the ever handsome Lee on the laptop there in the center island area. By the way, Lee gets back to you real quick. He's a real gentleman. I think they've got a real fantastic guy in their customer care group there with Lee. Here we are. We're looking. We are looking forward towards the owner's side head. And then we're zooming in a little closer to the owner's side shower. You can see it's a very nice head. Now, the layout does differ from the actual render here. I'm not sure. Obviously, there was some time in between here, and I'm not sure what they actually ended up with. The render shows a port side double sinks. The layout shows port side double sinks. The render shows starboard side single sinks. But both of them have an epic Phil Berman-sized forward shower stall. As we now head back into the owner's berth, you can see, again, it's a mirror image of the other side, the VIP one. Very comfortable. They've got good-looking shelving around it, a little raised there, which is nice, and a little bit of a sense of space on the port side of that berth, but it's a butt scoot, absolutely a butt scoot. And in fact, you only have access to probably 3/4 of the base of that bed. Just don't quite understand why that has to be. Anyways, we will move on here. We're coming up and out into the saloon again. And here we are looking around another variation of that saloon as far as wood finishes and countertops go. Really comfortable. I mean, the size of the windows. There's the aft saloon door that I mentioned. In this render, it looks like a French door. So again, not really sure what the end result is there. But again, lots of light, a very finished, polished looking interior. Really, really a good looking system here as we do a final glance around our saloon here and out onto our aft deck here. And one more glance in and around the cockpit area. Here they're showing on hull 1 and 2 they had a removable electric grill back here. On hull number 3 they have a built-in electric grill, and of course they have the fridges there. A little bit of naval gazing for fun here. We're talking about the Bev cordless cocktail maker for a paltry $400. This is the coolest thing I think I've ever seen, and I will definitely have to have one on my boat. Cocktails and mocktails can be made effortlessly with the Bev cordless cocktail maker. Remember, cordless, so we can take this up onto the foredeck. We can have it in the aft cockpit. We can have it in the saloon, and if you've got something with a fly bridge or fly lounge, you can take it up there and drink to your heart's content with custom cocktails here. You can choose from 50 compatible capsules. They're like the Keurig capsules, and they have all of the mixes other than the alcohol and water in them that contain real juices, extracts, and bitters to make drinks in seconds using your favorite vodka, tequila, whiskey, gin, and rum. Select your drink strength from mocktail to strong to suit your tastes. The cocktail maker dispenses the right amount of each ingredient to make you the perfect cocktail every time. Liven up festivities by setting the color of the lights that flash below the bottles when dispensing the liquor. I don't know if you guys have ever had one of those goofy things. I must have got one as a gift at a liquor store somewhere. Little round thing that you put your vodka bottle onto, and the pressure of the vodka bottle lights up the dancing LEDs below, which light up everything on the bottle. And if you can imagine that times 6, what a freaking party, especially if you're half cut. The upgraded lights also make for a more colorful party mode when selected. Thanks to the included battery, take your cocktail maker to the aft cockpit, forward lounge, or cabin top for sundowners without worrying about nearby outlets or cumbersome extension cords. It makes over 250 drinks per charge, so maybe put on your PFD before you start. Plus, you can still power the machine using the AC power cord. The cocktail maker connects directly, no decanting, to 5 standard 750ml bottles loaded upright, so you can drink and display the brand of vodka, tequila, whiskey, gin, and rum of your choice. It's also self-cleaning. The cocktail maker self-rinses after making each drink, and the cleaning mode offers an even more thorough cleaning. There you go, a little tongue-in-cheek fun for navel gazing. Back on board, we're in the aft cockpit here. Another look about, having a look at this absolutely, gorgeous vessel. Beautifully laid out cockpit, fabulous looking helm stations control, and here's all of the options that you can have here with the Catamaran show's fabulous 3D tour and option system here. You can see your davits out back, bearing in mind this is pure carbon fiber. The whole thing, carbon fiber and epoxy. It just doesn't get any better than that. So it's the aft area here with these windows that open up and out. You can really open up the saloon with the cockpit, not to the same degree that you can in so many of the models today, but to a significant degree. Now, I have backed out here to give you one more look along the side and let you see all of these options. There's the bow thruster, and here you've got additional tanks on the starboard side if you'd like them. Forward there, you've got various line handling equipment. They don't show the power furlers here, but I did double check with Lee that yes, indeed, they have power furlers for your downwind sails, and for everything up front here. And a vast array of different sails that you can select from other than the standard sail package that comes as priced. So you can see, again, they're using absolute top grade gear right throughout this vessel. You're getting an absolute top of the line vessel at a really when you start comparing at a very reasonable price, given the technology and the quality and the capability that you're seeing here. I mean, again, remember, you could pay another $11 million and get your gunboat and only have 3% more KSP. So yeah, you're getting a heck of a vessel here for what you're paying. So just another real good look around here. We're going to have a quick look from the aft so you can see those davits, see the way everything is laid out here, the size of these fantastic aft sugar scoops. Of course, you can get shaft drive if you wish. And you've got water makers, you've got, you name it, you've got everything you want here. That 23 kilowatts of optional now has been upgraded. I think we said, 28 kilowatt hours standard. And then your engine configurations, you've got them all there, as well as life raft options, and you name it, you've got it all. You've also got LED fitted to the rear transom, which is pretty good. That's another sort of bugbear that I have. It could be pretty frightening when you're trying to deal with these vessels in heavy weather in the dark. I'm not quite sure why more manufacturers don't simply at least offer as an option some significant LED lighting around the vessel, top down onto the deck of the vessel, in the cockpit areas, and out and around the vessel, so that when you're docking or coming to a moorage in a crowded moorage, you can see. Like, it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, and you can charge for it if you need to. I love the fact that these guys also have, as a factory option, your satellite, so that it can be properly integrated and not look like an ugly white wart on the outside of your amazing multi-million-dollar new home. So there you have it. She's an absolutely gorgeous vessel. Let's have a quick look in the factory here just to prove this is all carbon. This is, I believe, hull number 1. They've got 3 hulls under construction now. And this is, I believe, hull number 2 in and around April. So it's coming along very, very nicely. You get a sense of the scale of this vessel with the guys standing on board there. I mean, this is not an insignificant machine. But in talking to Lee, they really couldn't go much smaller and get the numbers that they wanted to get for performance. So it, again, just shows the commitment to engineering and sailing and performance and comfort that Cure actually is committed to, and I think is a function of their involvement and success in other complex vehicle systems, whether it be RVs or aircraft. Here we are, one last circle around. Have a good look. She is one gorgeous vessel. Okay, pre-owned comparables. What will we compare her to? Now, I do want to caution everybody here. Every now and then I get slapped upside the head for comparing a vessel like this to a Fountain Peugeot 59 or something. Guys, in the used category here, we can play a little fast and loose with what we're comparing these to, bearing in mind I am not a performance vessel buyer. I am a Sylvia vessel buyer. Otherwise, I won't be a vessel buyer. So anything I compare to, I'll throw in a production, larger, slower vessel into these just to see what's the cost difference? What am I paying? Will Sylvia tolerate this? Can I get away? Where's the balance point? So please don't get offended when you see odd vessels in the used category comparison. So here we are. Our first comparative is a 2023 Outremer 55. 1-year-old boat. It's going to have somebody's new toys on there, nicely broken in. I don't have to worry about all of those new boat issues. They're asking $2.5 US versus my new Cure at $29.72, or about $3 million US. Now, again, I'm betting that my sail away on the Cure is actually a little lower than that. I just haven't confirmed it yet. So, but we are looking at something of a delta here. This one would be, I'd hesitate a little bit, but I'm probably going to say I'm going with the Cure on this one. I got my forward, my bow thruster. I've got massive solar. I've got massive lithium. All my conveniences. I'm not thrilled with the bed layout, but I mean, an Outremer has butt scoots anyway, so who cares? And I got all real glass on my Cure. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Cure on this one. Next up is an 018 Gunboat 57. So we're looking at a 6-year-old boat here. I've been on the 57. She's a lovely vessel. They're asking 1.8, but Sylvia wouldn't tolerate it. I love the helm position on this. It's like I'm Captain Kirk on the Starship Enterprise and that beautiful big helm seat they've got in the center there. And you do have access onto the foredeck from the cockpit, although the cockpit is completely open. Anyways, bottom line, for me, I'd have to go with the Cure at 3 mil. Next up, we're looking at an 019 Katana 53. So we're looking at a 5-year-old vessel. They're asking 1.7 versus my 2.9. This one would be harder. I love the Cure. I love what they're doing. I'm not going to get all my lithium and solar and all that good stuff. But the Katana 53 is a very comfortable boat. And she's not a poor performer either. And very well built, a pure vinyl ester hull. I'm afraid the Katana would win out on this one. And here's one of those that'll make everybody's the hair on the back of their neck rise up. We're looking at a 2020 Fountain Peugeot 58. So we're looking at a 4-year-old boat, and they're asking 1.85 versus my 3 million. I get it. This is nowhere near the same vessel. And quite honestly, because of the nature of this vessel, I'd probably have to have a crew on board. So yeah, I'd probably go with the Cure on this one, just because of all those variables. I mean, obviously the Cure's higher quality, higher performance, but the fact that it is so manageable and so sailor-centric designed, short-handed designed, I could get away and feel comfortable on a Cure 55 with just Sylvia and I, whereas on this Fountain Peugeot, I simply wouldn't. So Cure gets it. So Cure gets 3 out of 4. Okay. Monohull heresy. This one probably gets everybody upset. But anyways, what do we can compare this in a monohull? Well, the first up is my fave, and that's an Oyster 625. They're asking 2.44 versus 3. Cure, I'm sorry. I would get Sylvia the medication to handle the healing, and I would be buying this Oyster. It's just such a pretty boat. The level of luxury and finish inside, there's nothing compares to it. Next up, we are looking at a Swan 2019. She's a 5-year-old boat. They're asking 4.88, so 5 million simoleons. Not a hope in Hades. It'd be the Cure. Next up, we are looking at something again on the production side, a 2023 Jeanneau 65, fully outfitted, hardtop, the whole shebang. And so 1-year-old boat, they're asking $2 million versus my $3 million. Oh boy. I'm afraid I'd have to go with the Jeanneau on this one. Okay, next up is a 2021 CNB 66. 2021, so we're 3 years old. They're asking 2.5. Not a hope. It would be the Cure. Abso-frickin-lutely. So 2 for 2 there, 2 out of 4 there for the Cure. Not too bad. Okay, the Dave score. How did she do? We've gone back and forth on a bunch of things, so it's going to be interesting to see. Oh, wow, she is there real fast. So looking at the numbers here, the Cure is way up there. It's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th place. Given the specialty nature of this vessel, that is incredible. We're looking at elegance. Now, all of this is preliminary because, renders are one thing, reality is another in some cases. So interior, by the looks of things, she's going to get an 8 out of 10 on elegance. I'd like to see rounded corners. I'd like to see... I'd love to see a saloon entrance onto the foredeck, and they have the room for it. All that sort of stuff. Exterior elegance, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. For a performance vessel, that is a screaming number. Comfort, interior, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It loses some points on the beds, but it really is beautifully laid out. The exterior gets an 8 out of 10. Again, performance vessel with no fly lounge or forward cockpit. That's a great number, but they've done such a good job on the execution of that aft cockpit, the helm stations, the comfort that you'd have sailing this thing, the forward faux cockpits with the footwells and the sun pads. Really, really well done. Quality, I'm going to give this one a 9 out of 10. Go out on a limb. I just think they're going to deliver an extremely high quality vessel here. Their capabilities, their focus on manufacturing, on engineering, on performance, the equipment they use from their Jefa steering system to their 3DI sails, they are shouting to the world, this is going to be a top quality, highly engineered, beautifully manufactured vessel, and they have the manufacturing pedigree to back it up. Performance, 10 out of 10. I mean, you just can't argue with it. It's spectacular. You're gonna have a good chance at racing Riley in his Rapido 60 in this thing. Lazy Sailor, 8 out of 10, maybe even a 9 out of 10 on that one. They really do a nice job. Condo, 8 out of 10, which is saying something incredible in a vessel that performs like this one does. Geek, 9 out of 10. I'm geeking right out on this vessel. Love what they're doing. Value for the money, I'm going to go way at the top and give it a 9 out of 10. I think this is an incredible value for what it seems to be delivering. We'll see when the first ones come out, but it really does look like an incredible value. So there you have it. She's Wine, Waves, Art and Ideas for another week. Absolutely gorgeous vessel. Fingers crossed. Dying to get on board this thing and see what they do. I think this is a company to watch and a vessel to watch. I think they're really doing something special here, and good on them for doing it in Australia. It's going to be interesting to see this company evolve. So I'm going to leave you this week with Art of the Region from Australia, from an Indigenous artist, Albert Namatjara. I apologize, but his art is gorgeous, as you will see. Thanks very much. Have a great week. We'll see you back here next week. Cheers.